the television center of New York City, the Armstrong Cork Company, makers of fine floors and floor coverings, and hundreds of other products for home and industry, invite you to another live presentation in Armstrong's Circle Theater.
This man is a clever thief and a liar. Subtle, deceptive, dangerous, arrogant. Yes, even on him the lie produces an indelible imprint. He thinks he is absolute master of his emotions. Is he wrong? Will he be trapped? You're about to see a factual, documented demonstration of one of the most effective instruments science has placed in the hands of modern investigative agencies. This is a true account of the lie detector in action.
Good evening.
This is Marchand's on Upper Fifth Avenue, one of the country's most exclusive jewelers. It is 5:15 in the evening, closing time.
Stock number 5060, dinner ring, 1 carat, marquise cut. Stock number...
The man with the eyeglass is Louis Marchand, owner of Marchand and Company.
Yes, the number checks. It is from the new shipment of watch movements that arrived from Switzerland yesterday.
He's a fast operator.
What are we going to do, Justin? This is a terrible situation. You know what would happen if this got into the newspapers. You know my clientele. One whiff of scandal, and they would never come back here again.
I understand that perfectly, Mr. Marchand.
I do not even know what is missing. I have been so upset since we first began to suspect that this was happening. And that was a month ago.
How did you first find out?
Well, Mr. Cummings, my manager, was the first to notice it. He has been with me for 14 years. He knows my stock better than anyone else. Every few days, something would be missing. As soon as I was certain, I notified your company. Oh, thank you. Now, look here, Jocelyn. I know that your company will indemnify me for whatever I lose. But if it means dragging Marchand's name through the courts, I will not agree to it. I would rather not collect a cent. I will fire the young man, and that will be the end of it.
Well, that's up to you to decide, Mr. Marchand. I think you'd be making a big mistake.
Marchand and Company cannot afford bad publicity.
This man has been walking off with your merchandise. If you let him off the hook, you leave the door wide open for somebody else to do the same thing. Well?
All right. What do you propose?
Let's see what your manager has come up with.
Mr. Cummings, do you have that list? There's more.
Where is he?
He's upstairs waiting on a customer.
You better get him.
Mr. Marchand, I can't believe this of Handley. I don't...
We cannot argue with cold facts, Cummings. Do what Mr. Jocelyn says.
Stock number 8372. Right here.
Miss Kramer, I want you to meet Mr. Jocelyn. He is from the insurance company.
How do you do?
How do you do? Miss Kramer, Mr. Marchand tells me that you and Mr. Handley put your more valuable items in the vault at the close of every day. Is that so?
That's right. Well, a few times during this last month or so, I wanted to get away early. Mr. Handley very kindly offered to put the things away for me. He insisted on it. I thought it was very nice of him.
And when you finish packing them away, do you close the vault?
No, it has a special kind of a lock that has to be adjusted. We just pack the stuff away. Mr. Cummings closes the vault.
I see. Thank you very much, Miss Kramer.
Did you want to see me, Mr. Marchand?
I want you to meet Mr. Jocelyn. He is an investigator from the insurance company.
Oh, how do you do?
How do you do?
Will you go into my office?
Mr. Handley, you and Miss Kramer put your more valuable items in the vault every evening, don't you?
Yes, that's right.
Do you ever go into the vault alone?
Well, no, if I need anything that's in the vault, I tell Mr. Cummings. He gets it. Well, why? Is something wrong? I don't understand.
Someone has been taking watch movements and other valuable items from that vault, Mr. Handley, and I'm checking it.
Well, I don't know anything about it. You don't think I do you?
Is this your coat?
Yes.
About an hour ago, Mr. Marchand and I searched this entire store. Look in the pocket. Open it up.
What's the idea? Who put this in my pocket?
Now listen, Handley.
I don't want to listen. I want to find out who put these watch movements in my pocket. I didn't do it.
You don't know anything about it.
Nothing.
What about this? It's a racetrack stub for a $100 bet.
Look, I don't play the horses. If I did, it wouldn't be for $100.
Why not? Can't you afford it? I've been checking into this matter for a month, Handley. I've made inquiries about all of Mr. Marchand's employees.
So?
You've spent a lot of money lately. You paid a lot of heavy debts.
We had a lot of sickness in our house. We ran up some debts and I paid them.
Do you mind telling me where you got the money?
I borrowed it.
You didn't have money like that in the bank. I checked.
Look, I borrowed it. My wife was sick. We had hospital bills. I borrowed it from my in-laws. Look, you've got to believe me. That's what happened. I've never stolen anything in my life.
Will you wait outside a minute, please?
You may be telling the truth.
Maybe he is.
How do we know? Well, what do we do now?
Well, we could turn him into the police, let them book him, but the evidence is all circumstantial.
No, that is just what I want to avoid, Jocelyn. I told you, no publicity.
I've only one other suggestion. Our office has found it pretty effective.
What is
A
that?
lie detector test. If Handley will agree to take one.
But I told you I do not want to become involved with the police.
Well, we don't have to. We can get a private agency to run the test.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, after all, we found these watch movements in his pocket.
Yes, we did, but he says he did not put them there, and perhaps he is telling the truth. And if he did not do it, I would not want it on my conscience to do him any harm. Lie detector. Well, I want to give Handley every chance. Let's see if he'll agree. Get him in.
Handley? Handley, we've talked the matter over. Mr. Marchand wants to give you the benefit of every doubt. So I've made a suggestion that may help us get to the truth of this matter. If I arrange it, will you agree to take a lie detector test?
Lie detector?
Mr. Handley, I want to give you every possible chance.
Look, I don't need a machine. I'm innocent.
We've used the lie detector a lot. It's not infallible. There is some margin of error. But I've never heard of an innocent person being shown to be guilty by the machine. Some guilty people may have beat the machine, but never the other way around.
I don't know anything about the machine. All I know is I'm telling the truth.
Then you've nothing to lose.
All right. You arrange for the test and I'll be there.
Well, it sounds very simple.
Well, it isn't as simple as you might think. We'll find the guilty person, all right, but that's not the job. The job is to get a confession.
How will you do that?
That depends on the person, the guilty person.
This is the Reed polygraph, a lie detector. In the past 20 years, an estimated 200,000 persons have staked their futures, many of them their lives, on this machine, or one similar to it. Most of them sat in a room similar to this, bare of decoration, small, soundproofed. The innocent are eager to prove their innocence. The guilty, arrogant enough to believe they can beat the machine.
I don't mind telling you, I'm scared to death.
Oh, perfectly normal. But we won't start until you calm down.
The conscious act of lying creates an emotional disturbance. In 1895, an Italian, Cesare Lombroso, demonstrated that variations in blood pressure and pulse rate are present during and after the act of lying. They are present and can be measured.
What's that for?
This is a pneumograph tube. It measures your breathing.
Other scientists discovered that the act of lying produced changes in the breathing. This, too, was measurable.
Now, hold out your hand. This is
What's this for?
measures the psychogalvanic skin reflex, is what we call the GSR.
GSR, another index of deception. Minute, subtle, yet measurable. The instrument for measuring variations in blood pressure, pulse, and respiration. But it is still a machine. It rings no bells, flashes no lights when a lie is told. It makes a record from which only an experienced, competent operator like Hugh Bennett can diagnose deception.
Now, Hanley, you know what we're after. If you had anything to do with the theft, I'm going to know all about it as soon as the lie detector test is run. Now, if that's so, well, I'd suggest that you straighten out the whole thing now.
I know nothing about it, and that's the truth.
All right. Now then, here are some questions that I'm going to ask you.
You mean you're going to show me the questions you're going to ask?
Certainly. Now, nothing we do will come as a surprise. You see, surprise itself is an emotion and would register on the machine.
All right.
Now, I want you to answer all the questions that I'm going to ask you with yes or no. Understand?
Yes.
Now, I'll just pump up that pressure cuff. Now, please don't move during the test and try to keep both feet flat on the floor. All ready?
Yes.
Okay. Now, don't look at the machine.
This is the moment. The tense, the anxious moment. A man's future is at stake.
Is your name James Handley?
Yes.
The left and right lines on the chart record muscular movement. The second line records breathing. The third, GSR. The fourth, blood pressure and pulse.
Do you live in New York City?
Yes.
Variations, properly evaluated, will test the answer. Is it true? Is it a lie?
Are you wearing glasses now?
No.
Several incidental questions. Now an important question.
Do you know Miss Anthony?
Who?
Do you know Miss Anthony?
No.
Did you steal any jewelry from the Marchand Company?
No.
Mr. Michel is coming to examine the emerald necklace this afternoon. I should be there.
Well, I'd be glad to do it for you, Mr. Marchand.
No,
all right.
it's too late.
Well, I've asked Mr. Handley to wait in the reception room.
Well, what does it say?
I ran 3 tests on Mr. Handley. All 3 produced the same findings. He had nothing to do with the stolen items.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Then he told the truth.
That's right.
You'll pardon my asking, Mr. Bennett, but isn't it true that some people are clever enough to beat the machine? They hide their emotions or something of the sort.
Well, as far as we know, there are only 3 types of people who, as you put it, beat the machine. First, there's the subnormal individual with the mentality of a child of 10 or less, and a person with an abnormal physical condition. And then there's the third type, the psychotic individual. But it's almost impossible to get a reliable deception reading from him. But these cases are very rare. I'm sure that Mr. Handley isn't any one of these 3.
Well, what do we do now? We're right back where we started.
I think we ought to run a series of tests on everybody in the store.
Everybody, I cannot shut down my business.
Well, there's no need for that. We can hold the interviews after hours.
Well, it'll undermine the morale of the entire store. Everybody will think they're under suspicion.
We found it to be the best thing to run it right down the line and start from the top.
The top?
Yes. In this case, with you.
I'm sure Mr. Marchand will agree with me that that won't be necessary.
Well, it's out of my hands now.
Well, I think it is an excellent idea. Everybody in the store will know that we're not playing favorites. I'll take the test anytime you say.
Oh, we could start right now. Will you come with me?
The subnormal individual the psychotic, the person with abnormal physical condition. Cummings has decided to pit himself against the machine. Is he one of the rare, the very rare people who can beat the lie detector? Lying is a conscious act. People lie with intent, with deliberateness, with full knowledge of their actions. They do it to becloud, to deceive, and, as is the case with Cummings, now to escape the consequences of truth.
Is your name Edward Cummings?
Yes?
You live in New York City.
Yes?
Did you steal any jewelry from the Marchand Company?
No.
A lie. But the machine has not recorded it. The blood pressure does not rise. The respiration line does not flatten. Is this the one man in thousands who has abnormal control of his emotions?
Are you the manager of the Marchand shop?
Yes?
Did it rain today?
No.
Did you steal any watch movements from the Marchand Company?
No.
A lie again. But the pattern of deception does not register. Cummings is beating the machine.
What if you get a negative reaction from everybody in the store? Where does that leave me?
Relax. We'll get the right man.
Yeah, but what if you don't? Is that going to put me back under suspicion?
Well, I don't know, Hanley. We must wait.
Bennett's an experienced operator. He knows what he's doing.
Are you wearing a blue suit?
No.
Now Bennett is puzzled. He's getting no reactions from Cummings. So now he must try the most fundamental test to determine response to the detector.
I want you to take a card. Don't let me see it.
Card tricks?
Well, you might call it that. Now remember the card that you pick. And put the card back in the pack. All right?
Yes?
Now I want you to answer no to each question that I ask. Understand?
Oh, no, really.
Please.
Well, very well.
Was it the two of spades?
No.
Was it the six of diamonds?
No.
Was it the jack of spades?
Cummings senses a trap. His confidence in his ability to beat the machine wavers.
Was it the jack of spades?
No.
A lie. For the first time, his pulse, his respiration, his skin reactions register. And by this simple test, Bennett has proven to himself that he can get a deception reading from Cummings.
Mr. Cummings, now I'm going to ask you question number 7. You see it there?
Yes?
All right. Do you know Miss Anthony?
This is the key question. Only the guilty man knows Miss Anthony. Now again, Cummings must lie, but the lie must remain unrecorded.
I never met anyone by that name.
Well, just answer yes or no, please. Do you know Miss Anthony?
No.
Did you steal any watch movements from the Marchand Company?
You've already asked that.
Did you steal any watch movements from the Marchand Company?
No.
The pattern of deception is apparent now. Cummings is no longer master of his emotions. He's weakening, breaking down. He cannot control his blood pressure, his respiration. Now, Bennett knows that Cummings is guilty.
Mr. Cummings, that card test I asked you to help me with. Your card was the jack of spades, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, what does that prove?
You lied.
I didn't.
Of course you did. I have the record right here. You lied when I asked you if you'd stolen any jewelry from the Marchand Company. You lied when I asked you if you'd stolen any watch movements from the Marchand Company. You lied when I asked you about Miss Anthony. I've made thousands of these tests, Cummings. I know a deception reading when I see one. You can't beat the machine, Mr. Cummings. Now, why don't you admit that you took the jewelry and help straighten the whole matter out?
Don't be ridiculous.
Mr. Cummings, I want to show you something. This is the record of the card test. Now, look here. This is when I asked you if you took the jack of spades. This line is your blood pressure. You see how it went up? This is this is the breathing. You see how you relaxed once you told the lie?
Yeah, but you instructed me to lie. You asked me to say no to answer every question.
Not to every question, Mr. Cummings.
Look, I'm not stupid. I don't care what your machine says. Lie detector evidence is not acceptable in a court of law. You can't do a thing to me.
You're mistaken, Mr. Cummings. True, we can't convict you with lie detector evidence. But the important thing is that we know that you're guilty. You know what'll happen? Mr. Johnson is a clever investigator. He'll never let up. He'll keep on digging. And by the time he's finished, he'll know more about you than you do yourself. And he'll have the evidence to convict you. One other thing. You realize, of course, Mr. Cummings, that you're the only one who could possibly have known about Miss Anthony. Let me get the others in here.
Bennett tells me you have something to say to me.
Nothing to say. I needed money, I took it.
Why, Cummings, I always paid you a good salary.
Wasn't enough.
And I trusted you.
What did you do with the money, Cummings?
I did a lot of things. First, I used it to pay back bills. Then, a funny thing happens to a fellow when he steals. He begins to feel that as long as he's done it once, later on, I gambled. I had a good time.
What about the last bunch of stuff you took?
It's all at home. I got it home.
What am I going to say to Handley? I practically accused him of being the thief.
He's waiting in my office.
Mr. Handley, I can't tell you how sorry I am.
I understand.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to say thank you. It's quite a machine. Oh, by the way, who's Miss Anthony?
Oh, ask Mr. Joslin.
Mr. Joslin? I was just wondering who Miss Anthony is.
Remember this racetrack ticket? Found on the coat room floor? Not very often you find a $100 pari-mutuel ticket. It was worth checking up on.
And, Miss Anthony?
It's a 2-year-old filly. Put $100 on her last Saturday. She ran out of the money.
In thousands of cases of theft, murder, and security, the lie detector has proven to be one of the most effective investigative instruments, second only, perhaps, to the science of fingerprinting. You have just seen a factual, documented demonstration, a true account of the lie detector in action.